This Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark thing has taken a life of its own.
Yeah.
The Indiana Fever and the Chicago Sky, first we want to give flowers, Bert, broke the record for most viewed regular season game at 2.7 million viewers.
A week into the season, right? Or 2 weeks into the season?
Oh, yeah. And more than the Yankees and Mets game with they had Juan Soto returning to New York. Well, not returning to the Bronx. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But and so like that is amazing for the game, and it is strictly off the back. And again, we know the statistics. We know that Caitlin Clark is the needle mover for the WNBA, but her rivalry, if that's what you want to call it, this thing she has with Angel Reese, is a totally different thing.
Yeah.
And the reaction I get, full disclosure, me and Bert are not WNBA people by any stretch.
No.
I don't know the sport. I don't know the history.
We haven't been watching it a long time.
Not a long time at all. I know I'm a casual fan, and I'm being generous with that phrase for me. I have watched other games that didn't involve these two players. I found some of them, just like I do with the NBA. Some of them are boring. Some of them are really exciting. But I'm not going to sit there and pretend I know the ins and outs of the WNBA. The other thing I won't tolerate is the 12 dudes that were watching the WNBA before sit on their fucking high horse and tell me that I'm not allowed to have an opinion about this. I like Caitlin Clark. She's exciting. And I'm not the only one that feels that way based on jersey sales and based on ratings and based on exposure and all the other analytics you want to say. There was a foul in the big story outside of the 35-point blowout and the fact that Caitlin Clark is now 5-1 versus Angel Reese in the pros. But it's okay because all the old fucking cape wearing simps out there will tell you that Angel Reese has a college title. Like that fucking matters. They're in the pros now. Who cares? It's gonna that little argument will go out the window the moment Caitlin Clark wins the WNBA title before Angel Reese. That's all I'm gonna say. But the funny thing, and I posted it at the Stuff About Sports Instagram page.
Mm-hmm.
There was a hard foul that Caitlin Clark put on Angel Reese. Angel Reese got up and started bowing up and talking shit and what the hell are you doing? And, all this talking crazy. The funny thing is this happened immediately after Angel Reese shoves with two hands a teammate to get a rebound.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just find it funny that this has turned into yet again a racism thing, which Bert, I'm not scared to say. Most things, there is a racial component to it because people come from different cultures. I understand the Angel Reese defenders. I understand the Caitlin Clark supporters. I get it. But here's the problem I have. Angel Reese needs to be a hell of a lot better than she is if we want this rivalry to have the impact we think it does. When we talk about Bird and Magic, Caitlin Clark is way closer to Bird than Angel Reese is as close to Magic. You know what I mean? Like it has to match. And you can't live off of the college stuff forever. Like at some point, how your hype is perceived has to match the attention we're giving you. And listen, Caitlin Clark is famous for balling. Angel Reese is famous for other things. And she's an elite rebounder. I'm not taking that away from her. But Caitlin Clark is generational, and Reese likes to portray herself as generational. I'm telling you, Bert, as a casual fan, I know Angel Reese for more off-court stuff than I do on-court stuff. And it's opposite for Caitlin Clark. And I think that's the best, nicest possible way I can put it without sounding like, I don't know. I don't want to say a hater. I call it like I see it, man. Like I don't understand why people have a hard time seeing that. Like they go out of their way to defend Angel Reese. And on Angel Reese's side, I do understand her entire basketball side, not what she does off the court, but her entire legacy when it comes to basketball are the double doubles, the rebounds, but it's still largely attached. She's the remora fish on the Caitlin Clark shark. You know what I mean? Like
I do.
And whether that's fair or not, it is what it is. And I can understand why she is upset because every time they talk to her about anything she's doing, she's constantly getting compared to Caitlin Clark. But to me, that's her fault.
Well, she's going to no matter what, right? Same
Right.
draft class.
Right.
She has the national championship. Didn't they play each other in the
Yep.
final? Not
Yep.
was it the finals or was it the semifinals?
Semifinals, and Caitlin Clark
Yeah.
beat her one time, and then they won after that. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Or
and
before
I
that. Yeah.
think going into it, I mean, the hype of both of them, and don't get me wrong, Angel Reese was an integral player in college.
Mhm.
And heading into the draft, though, the hype was always Caitlin Clark. There was always going to be that dynamic of them two up against each other from draft to even when they play now too. I understand your comparison between Magic and Bird, and if we want this rivalry to last, she's going to have to up her game. I get that. I think it's a fair point, and anybody can look at the numbers and say so. But I do appreciate, and this again, casual fans, this could just be how she plays, or if she's truly leaning into it. But after that flagrant, I would have expected her or any baller to step up and at least go back and not take it. Like, I get it. It was a basketball foul. It was a basketball play.
Yeah.
But for her to just get up, dust it off, and look the other way, no, I want that intensity. I think it's good for the rivalry. I think it's good for the ratings. I think Angel should really lean into this as being a competitor and just constantly going back and forth between her and Caitlin Clark. That's what I want to see. I think this is great for the sport. I appreciate your obviously calling it out in the fact that this is turning into a race issue every time it comes up, because it is. You didn't need to say it. You also don't need, I know you will always say it and call it like it is, but look at any other platform. Any other platform that's out there, whether it's national or whether it's Twitter or X, everybody will have a different take on it. For me, I just think this is great for the sport. This is what's going to get more eyeballs into the sport, and having more rivalries like this. And to your point, and as I mentioned before, if there's going to be longevity with this particular rivalry, then both ends have to meet somewhere and get better along the way. And we know Caitlin Clark, and as you mentioned, is generational talent. There's no denying it whatsoever. I just want to sit back and honestly watch them play every single day. Like, if they're going to bring that intensity a game a week into a season, I want to see it when it's game 7 and they're in the semis or they're in the championship game. Like, I want to see this continue through and through. I think this is nothing but good for the sport.
Yeah, I saw a lot of, this is not good for the sport. And I said, how
is it not?
How is it not? People are talking about your sport. The WNBA is not the NBA. You want to talk about a league that was fighting for its TV broadcasting life just a few before Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese got there. I'm not going to say it's just Caitlin Clark. I will say Caitlin Clark is a large piece of the pie, but there are a flux of talented young ladies. There's one right now in Dallas, Paige Beckers. And if Angel Reese don't step it up, this rivalry that we want Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark to have, it's going to be between Caitlin Clark and Paige Beckers, because that girl is nasty. I think she's has the third person ever in WNBA history to have 20, 10, and 10 in their first 3 games. I think Sabrina Ionescu did it, and the other name's escaping me right now. But it doesn't matter. Like, you're talking about history out the gate for some of these young ladies, and Angel Reese is so concerned about how she's viewed by other people, which brings me to Ryan Clark and RG3. RG3.
I'm not familiar with this. I didn't look into this today. So break it down for me. What happened?
Basically, RG3 said what I said last year. Remember when I said that, Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark. Mm-hmm. Like, she's jealous. And I got destroyed by certain people over that. And I said, that's not my opinion. Look at her. Look at her body language. RG3 basically said as much. She not only hates her because Angel Reese thinks she should be as popular or more popular.
Well, she said it herself.
And she has said it herself.
Yeah.
But I think she feels like Caitlin Clark is getting, or she should feel she should get the same amount of attention as Caitlin Clark, or whatever it is. But I think she resents that Caitlin Clark is the face of the WNBA. And Angel Reese doesn't like that. Maybe Angel Reese doesn't care that it's not her. I think she cares more that it's Caitlin Clark over anybody. And RG3 kind of pointed that out. Ryan Clark basically said, you're not allowed to talk about it because you married a white woman. And RG3, which is crazy. Like, what are you talking about? And I'm not an RG. Trust me, I don't like RG3 either. I think RG3 says dumb shit all the time. But I don't. This wasn't one of those things. I don't know if I agreed with exactly what he said, but I understood what he was saying, and I don't think he was saying anything crazy. But Ryan Clark coming out to say that to me was extremely out of bounds. And it makes it even funnier because I'm pretty sure Ryan Clark has a child with a white woman, like from his NFL playing days, like early days. So, but the fact that they're beefing is hilarious because they're two unlikable entities in sports. And it became a thing where Ryan Clark then exposed, hey, you sucked at ESPN as a broadcaster. You were a terrible teammate in the NFL. You were terrible at ESPN as a teammate. Nobody likes you. You're phony. A bunch of other stuff. It all stemmed because Ryan Clark brought a guest on his show that he knew that Ryan didn't like, and they talked about Ryan Clark. And Ryan Clark, which understandably,
I'm sorry, RG3 brought the guest that he knew
he knew that Ryan Clark didn't like, and they talked. And so Ryan Clark came out and said, or RG3 came out and said, there's a line you don't cross in life, and Ryan Clark crossed it. Ryan Clark didn't like my take on Angel Reese hating on Clark or hating Caitlin Clark, and that's fine. Disagreement is part of the game. But instead of debating my point, he personally attacked me and my family. That shows how low of a person he is. I gave a sports opinion. I said Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark based on repeated visible actions on the court and in press conferences, which is true. I backed it up with 5 separate examples from the game of basketball because that's what I do. I analyze sports, and I stayed in the arena. Just because Angel Reese is black doesn't mean that her game and actions can't be critiqued. A black man or woman is not restricted from giving a sports opinion on other black men or women just because you don't like it. Everybody can give an opinion no matter what color they are. I agree. I agree with that. Like, I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find Ryan Clark's comments, but they're both weirdos, man. Like, I at the end of the day, they're both. It's one of those things where they're both right and they're both wrong. Like, Ryan Clark, I understand what you're saying. Like, it is strange to hear a guy who, if you feel that way, you see a black man married to a white woman and you're critiquing black women. Like, it's, I don't know, man. Like, I understand why you feel that way, but that shouldn't have been part of your rebuttal to him over the tape. You know what I mean?
It's
like,
not.
That just,
it's not valid.
It doesn't have
him,
anything to do with it.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, what you're saying, well, because you did this in your personal life, your opinion on all things that might be associated with race is obsolete. As if RG3 doesn't experience any type of, bias or racism. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. Out of line comments. It's just incredibly messed up. I mean, classy for RG3 to respond. Obviously, this beef goes deeper, as you just explained. And I'm sure, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen to Ryan Clark. I'm assuming nothing.
Probably nothing. Ryan Clark says, if you're RG3, he said this on the Pivot. This is a quote from the Pivot. If you're RG3, when's the last time within your household you've had a conversation about what Angel Reese is dealing with? You haven't been able to do that because in both your marriage, you've been married to white women. You haven't had opportunities to have those conversations to educate you on what they're feeling, what black women deal with, what they see, and what they think of a young Angel Reese. And the whole time that he's mimicking Angel Reese and bobbing his head and moving his neck and doing his whole piece, his wife is in the background amening and clapping. When I worked with RG3, he would make all these sorts of corny jokes about milk and how much he loved it and how important it was. And he always points out on social media the color of his wife's white skin, as if the color of her skin is what makes her special, as if the color of her skin is what makes her a good wife. I met the lady. I've had conversations with her. I think she's more than that. But it leads to what black women deal with from a lot of black men who have chosen to date and marry outside of their race. They always feel like they have to go the extra mile to prop up that woman that they're married to, or when the women that they're with over black women by denigrating black women. I don't know, man. Like,
was he denigrating though? I don't
think he was. I didn't see the context of RG3. I saw the criticism. I don't watch RG3's show. I just read the quote, and it could be out of context.
Yeah.
But also understanding, because it's what we do here, Bert.
Yeah.
He has to entertain. So, but there's an obvious disdain that Ryan Clark has for RG3. That
Oh
to
yeah.
me, it doesn't matter what RG3 said or how he said it. That
He just
it's
said
a
something. He
thing
could have
to me.
mumbled something in that direction, and Ryan Clark might have went off on him.
But the problem with this message is the messenger. Ryan Clark has a history of what I will say bias towards the black athlete, which I completely understand. It's your platform. You have the voice. You're on ESPN. You have the pivot. If you want to make excuses or tailor your argument in support of whatever you want to support, that is your right to do. However, don't get offended by the criticism that may come your way from that. Like when you draw a line in the sand, you can't be mad when people start kicking dirt on that line. You know what I mean? Like it's say what you want to say. I do it all the time. Like
Yeah.
it's
Oh, we know.
and it's fine. It's because I want the conversation. It's cool with me. Like it's you can call me any name in the book. It's not gonna hurt my feelings. I don't give a shit. But what Ryan did was a black look. I was going to say a black look is a bad look. Angel Reese clearly overreacted to the foul. Defending the overreaction while trying to diminish RG3's reaction by calling attention to who he's married to is nasty. Period. RG3, if he was trying to make his point and basically as a black man did it in like quote unquote blackface, and I think we all know what we mean, like kind of imitating a caricature of a black woman, that is also wrong. But RG3, from what I have seen, did have valid reasons to kind of back up what his claim was. So all that to say, this is great for WNBA to me. Like you have
keep it going. Yeah.
I get that for the hardcore WNBA fans, this kind of.
And for the record, Jerm's not saying racism is great for the WNBA.
No.
Anybody who might
Oh yeah, my
interpret
bad.
it that way.
Yeah, my
He
bad.
is saying that the whole world watching the rivalry between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark is good. I just want to clarify, that comment was, that whole session was just about what happened between RG3 and Ryan Clark. We're not bringing it back around by saying we want more of that dialogue, but we do want more of this rivalry.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, no, racism is never good for anything.
No.
You should be able to look at a situation regardless of color while acknowledging, yeah, I'm sure, again, I said at the beginning, unfortunately with everything, race will be a part of it because people just come with race comes culture and people just come from different cultures, different thought processes, whatever. But if you can't be objective about, of all things sports, then you really shouldn't be talking about it. And this is great for the sport because rivalries fuel growth. It happened when the 70s were terrible. In the 80s, Bert and Magic came. There was a race component there. The advantage that Angel Reese has was Magic Johnson wasn't exactly allowed to be as boisterous as Angel Reese is allowed to be, just based on the time period that he was in, right? Like it was the 80s. Like black people weren't really out of the woods all that, much when it comes to how they act and how they are. Magic gets away with it because he's a famous basketball player and he played for the Lakers. So if you watch that documentary, you would see exactly what Magic kind of still had to deal with being who he was. And so it's good for the sport because you have two high profile people in sports talking about your game. Yeah. And my issue with a lot of these hardcore female basketball analysts and people, I got a guy from CBS Sports calling me an asshole over my Angel Reese stuff. I'm like, I wouldn't be talking about it either way. Why are you talking about this? There's plenty of other things happening in the WNBA. Yeah, I'm sure there are. Go ahead and talk about them. This is the most interesting thing happening.
Man, that guy must be so exhausting commenting on everybody else who's talking about this. Like, I mean,
yeah, it's
like, we get it. Like, as you mentioned in your comment, put your cape away. We're okay,
People tune into the soap opera.
Oh, yeah.
And they do it in all sports. People tune in. The Bills and the Chiefs had the highest playoff game rated ever. because the soap opera between Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes and can the Bills get over the hump? Spoiler alert, they didn't. And, you know, in all sports, we do it for rivalries. They tuned into the Mets Yankees because of Juan Soto going back to the Bronx. The thing with Aaron Judge, that whole, like, people will tune into the soap opera. The problem with it is the WNBA doesn't have the elite athleticism that the NBA does to carry their sport outside of the storylines. People will just watch the highest levels. There are elite talents in the WNBA, but they're not at a point in growth in what the NBA or a lot of the other major sports are. They're on the way, obviously, like based on just data, but they're not there yet. So what people are tuning in, specifically casual fans, is the soap opera, are the storylines. That's what's going to keep us engaged in it because women's basketball, because we have the parallel to men's basketball, isn't as elite in terms of the athleticism, what the women can do. For example, the dunks. Like, I'm not saying that we should lower the rims. I'm saying people aren't going to watch a bunch of layups generally, but they'll watch Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese go at it and throw each other to the ground and do a bunch of other things. And again, I'm talking about casual fans only. I'm talking about people who are flipping the channel on Saturday afternoon and have nothing else to watch. They're going to tune in for the players, the storylines. They're not really tuning in for the basketball, not until it gets to playoff time and things of that nature. But you have the New York Liberty, who are going for a repeat. New York's a major market. That's a storyline people will pay attention to. Dallas, Paige Beckers, like, the people like her, and they're going to pay attention to Dallas on a quest for the ring. The Minnesota Lynx could have made history. They had a terrible playoff loss. People are going to tune into them because they're one of the best teams in the league. So all that is all storyline based. That's not really basketball based, right? Like, it's so for the WNBA, the storylines are really good. And just because you're tired of the race stuff, or you're tired of this, you're tired of that, honestly, is not relevant. 2.7 million people tuned in, and to a 35-point blowout. And it's because of those two players. It's because of their story. It's because of that soap opera. And honestly, the WNBA needs to capitalize on it. I throw that shit on every graphic, every social media thing. I mean, every chance I get, I'd be blowing that thing up. So hopefully they keep it going.
Oh yeah, they will.